behind the scenes photographs.
Hi, Patrice here, still at the beach. I'm here with my children, and they are all around me. You can't see any one of them though. So, my daughter's handing me a sandwich that and she's putting her hand in the camera. So, okay. We couldn't see your hand, Joshua. You could come around and say hi if you want.
Give me the sandwich.
Give her the sandwich.
Hi.
You gotta come around this way, babe. This way. Okay, honey, we can't see you at all. See?
Got to be in my boat?
Hi.
You see, we can barely see you. You got sand in your hair too. So, anyway, I wanted to talk about how I was thinking about because of a book that I'm reading called Journey to Trauma. I'm in a bunch of like little nice like book clubs and all that kind of stuff. In one book club, we're reading a book called Journey Through Trauma, and it's a really good book. It's pretty like wonderful because it's not it's very helpful and very validating, and it explains things that I'm dealing with that I didn't really take into consideration before. Like one of the things they were saying how as a child in a situation where you're like traumatized over and over and over again, while you were in survival mode, you missed out on what you should have gotten. And so for instance, for me, I mentioned before, I'm not telling it I'm not saying everything because this isn't a pity party. It's not about that. But like I remember very clearly that when I would get put out the house, and it was as early as 3 years old, when I would get put out and I would have to sit out on the stairs in the apartment building, I never cried. Like I never cried. The only time I remember crying and screaming was when, I don't know what the situation was, but my mother went to the store or somewhere and I was in the house, and for whatever reason she didn't take her key, and somehow I managed to lock the door when she left, and so that by the time she got back she couldn't get in. And she's on the other side, like banging on the door, hollering and all. And I'm inside the house, locked in by myself, and I'm screaming and crying. And I could have been anywhere between 4 and 6 at that point. But by the time we left that apartment, I was 7 years old. So I know I was definitely not there yet. But I was locked in the house, and that was one time where I cried and hollered and screamed, and I was definitely like just scared, And when my mother somehow was able to get back into the apartment, she just walked right on by me like nothing, didn't say anything. And like I remember, I don't know, it was another time I remember crying was when we were in the living room together this time, and she was ironing something, and she said, "I'm going to go to the bathroom, don't touch the iron." And now if it was me, I could never imagine leaving a hot iron on around my 2 boys. They crazy. They little. They little children. They 2 and 5, and I was anywhere between those ages at that point. And so, of course, my mother left to go use the bathroom, and I yanked the cord of the iron, and it slid down my thigh. And when I came back, when my mother came back in the room, I was just like shocked, And then eventually I started to cry and scream. And you could see like the iron print on my leg, the, little holes in the iron, that print, all of it, all down my thigh. But those are the 2 times that I remember crying. But yeah, my mother just was not she didn't do well with consoling. It was always, shake it off, and all. But anyway, so as a result, of like traumatic events happening and not being allowed to feel or express my feelings. I'm watching my children, they're far away. But anyway, as a result of that, I have a hard time feeling much compassion for myself. And so I feel pretty numb when I tell like different stories. And it's very weird, and it bothers me that I don't seem to really feel, anything when I talk about my stuff. And so, in fact, what really makes me cry is somebody else's kindness. When it's genuine, that feels so uncomfortable. And it feels, because it's like, wow, you're really, I don't want to say this I don't mean it in a self-deprecating way, but it's like you're really like using this time on me. You're, like it's weird, and I know it's weird. I understand that, but so
You using this?
oh no, I thought you were showing me a bug on me, girl. I was about to flip out. I was poised and ready. So another thing that I was thinking of recently was how I grew up in the Catholic Church, and then on my own as an adult, I went to the Word of Faith Church. And in the Word of Faith Church, it was like, if somebody asks you how you're doing, it's blessed and highly favored. And, thank you very much. I'm great. And even if you were not great at all. And so there's that reinforced don't feel, almost. And going on this journey has been like kind of strange for me, because when I first started therapy I was 19 years old, and I knew I needed to go to therapy because I had been raped 5 years before that, and I hadn't really told anybody, and I hadn't even told my mother, and because I was afraid, and then I knew I needed therapy because I started having nightmares. And when I went to therapy, I remember the therapist, we did a group therapy thing, and she had us do this exercise where she wanted us to try to remember every aspect of, like, she's like, if you were raped more than once, and I was by this one guy, but she's like, if you were raped more than once, pick one and go through each, like, everything you can remember, and remember every detail, like when you go to bed. And I thought it was a dumb assignment, but I did it. But it was weird, because in doing so, I remember being molested by a cousin before I was even 10 years old. And it was so traumatic. That was another like repressed memory, because it's like when you it's like if past trauma was like in a box, you take that lid off and you're like, okay, I'm gonna deal with this. All kinds of stuff start popping up. Stuff that you didn't account for. And it's like, what? So that's what happened. And it was traumatic, and it felt really stupid to dig up, to intentionally dig up. But I'm understanding now that the way I'm going about it now is the way to do it, or it's the better way to do it, because I'm not intentionally trying to sit around and dwell on my mother and, oh, she did me so wrong. No, none of that is fruitful, So, but what I am doing is, like I explained in one of the other videos, is I'm watching this bug, and I'm also because it looks like an ant and it has wings. I'm like trying to bury it. But anyway, I am only dealing with what impacts my present, and it's cool, because I'm dealing with it, and it is helping, because I'm noticing the triggers are not as like horrid as before. But another thing that I wanted to talk about quickly was that my friend Rose was telling me about how she went to the park one day, and so Rose is a homeschool mom too, and we were talking about, I was telling her how I went to the park intending to go running. It was a Sunday, and there was too many people there. and some of them were just kind of standing around. I was like, I don't want to be here with them. So I get like that sometimes. I'm like in the middle. I'm an ambivert. I can be introvert. I can be extrovert. It just depends. So, but this was one of those times where I just wanted the park to myself pretty much. Kind of, I guess spoiled with that. So, there were people there, and I was telling Rose, I was like, yeah, I left the park because I was like, I don't want to be here with them. So she was telling me about how she met an older man who like pretty much became her father. My God, like this man, they have a relationship, and he checks on her like every day, and it's just beautiful. And I started to explain, not explain, I was like, wow, I've had that too. And she actually comes from the exact same kind of background that I come from. And I was like, God is so sweet to us, because for me, I feel like my mother kept me from my father, so I didn't have a father, and then she wasn't, a mother either, so I was just there. But I have had people in my life, like my aunts, two of my aunts. My aunt Mary, I remember going to her house one time, and Aunt Mary, she let me go outside and make, I told you I cry sometimes with the nice stuff. She let me go outside and play in the mud. And I went outside, and I was just like, she's not gonna say anything. She's not gonna reprimand me for playing in the dirt. And so I played. And then I thought I was taking a chance. I went into the house, and she had just had my little baby cousin, Jessica. And Jessica was an infant. And I came in the house, and I would think that she would be like, wash your hands. Don't come near my baby, with your dirty hands. You shouldn't have been playing in the mud anyway. She said, ask me, what did I do outside? How did I enjoy myself or whatever? And I said, I made a mud pie. And she said, oh, I want to see your mud pie. And I was like, what? And so I brought the mud pie in the house, and she praised my mud pie. And that was like, I don't want to put sand in my eyes. That wouldn't be fun. But that was so foreign to me. That was such a foreign thing to me. And it still obviously touches me to this day. And it's something so simple, but it means everything to me. And then, Lord, my Aunt Gup, we call her Guppy. She got big eyes. She got big, pretty eyes. Mary do too. They got some gorgeous eyes. Anyway, Guppy played with me. Like, she and my cousin Terrence, that's her son. Like, Terrence was my brother, He is my brother. And Guppy played with me. I used to do, cartwheels and splits, and, and we used to go skating and all kinds of stuff. She took us swimming, and Gup was right there with me doing the cartwheels, doing the splits, going skating, everything. Like, she was right there with me. She was the one who, we would bob for apples, which now I find so disgusting, but it was so much fun. And she would paint our faces like we were clowns, and we would camp out in the living room on the floor and have all these big boxes, and we would draw on the boxes, and just stuff that is or should be normal, I suppose. I don't know, but yeah. So, and my grandparents, even though my mom has told me so many bad things about more my grandmother than my grandfather, but it didn't sway my love for them. Only my father did she really effectively turn me against. But because I thought my father was the worst person ever. But my grandparents, I absolutely adored them, and I was very close to them. And then God has given me other people, my two of my pastors. It feels funny to call them my pastors, but that is what they are, or who they are. but I just call them my dads. They're Gary and Russ. And yeah, again, like, these are people that just love me, and I love them too. And I have like tested them, like, to see if, if I don't do what they want me to do, what I know they want me to do, are they still gonna love me? If I stop talking to them for a week or a month, are they still gonna love me? And they do. It's not about what I do. They just love me because I'm me. And that's amazing to me, because it's unfortunately it's foreign. And now, like, my husband, like, last night, my husband, I'm sorry this video is gonna be a little longer, because I said I didn't want to do these videos long, but my husband, now my nose all stopped up, you got me crying and carrying on. See how you do? But my husband was saying to me last night, he was like, I'm so fortunate, and he's like, I'm so blessed to have you. And he was like, you're really dope. And I was like, what? And he started telling me all this stuff about myself, like, how amazing he thinks I am, and, beautiful, and all this stuff. And I'm like, just like looking at him, and it's not like I think I'm the scum of the earth. It's not like that. But I think what it is that, because with my mom's brand of love, and you have to understand, she's what I grew up with. And so what you learn first sticks, and it's hardest to get rid of. And so with my mom, she it's like, I love you, but then, she come with the jab, kick you in the shin, not like literally, but so when my husband is like, I love you, and he's like the closest person to me, and he's telling me how amazing I am, I'm like, okay, you about to kick me? Are you about to hit me? And I don't want to live like that. I don't want to do that. So I just think about all these people that God has put in my life. And like, even with my girl Evie's middle name is Karina, and that's what she goes by with her family. And interestingly enough, she came in my life at a time where my sister Carrie, Karina, was near the end of her life with cancer. And Carrie's 40 when she died. And I just thought it's so interesting how, just as now Evie can't take Carrie's place. I'm not saying that at all. But I was very close to Carrie, and I find it so sweet how just as Carrie was leaving, another Carrie came. And my life has been that over and over and over again. There's a man in my life, Mike. Mike has been my father, like, since I was very young. And I absolutely adore him, and I know he loves me too. And even when I went to Africa, there were 3 dads, and they all were like very different. One was very low key, laid back, but the love was there, very evident. Another one was very gruff, and in fact, when we went to his house, this man had almost 4,000 acres, 4,000, okay, acres of land. We went to his house to go hunting, and I was the only girl among all the boys. And because that's me, I love guns, and I'm that person. So you could call me badass. So we went to this man's house, and when he saw me among the guys, of course everybody's way taller than me, because these guys are all like 6 feet and up, and I'm 4'10", and so he sees me among the guys, and he like did like this, and it was like he parted the sea of men to get to me, and he pulled my hand and pulled me into his house, had his servant give me, he was like, you like water? And I was like, I love water, because I had my big water bottle that I carry everywhere. And he's like, well, you should have my water. I bet my water tastes better than that water. And I was like, give me your water. Let's see, you know. And he wasn't lying when he said his water, like, because he, like, I don't know what to call it, but he has his own, like, brand or whatever. And that's one of the things that he does. He's very, very wealthy. And so that was like the gruff love. And then another one, he took us all out to dinner, and he these are my friends' dads, and that one, he held my hand, and like he wanted me to sit beside him at the dinner table and all, and he held my hand and he said to me, I want you to bring your family back here. He was like, this is your home, and you always have a place to stay. If you want to come here to Zimbabwe, you have a place to stay. If you want to go to South Africa, I have a place for you to stay there too. And he's like, just get here. Everything will be taken care of. Just, you know, bring them all here. And what? I can't tell you, like, again, how many times and places and instances that I have this kind of love come my way. So I do not feel sorry for myself. I do not feel at a loss for love, and I do not feel alone. I feel very much surrounded and cared for. Just not by my mom. And there's, oh God, Russ's wife, Debbie. She, you know, sometimes you have situations where people do things, or you didn't experience something and you don't miss it because it's not a part of your experience. So it's just like, whatever. Like I used to try to get in my mom's lap all throughout my life, and she would always playfully, but still push me away. And she would be like, girl, get out, get your big butt out of my lap, get out of my lap. And now these ladies, Debbie and Robin, both have said to me, around me, to others in my hearing, oh my God, I just love holding Patrice. She's so fun size. You know, like you got one woman, my mother, get your big butt away from me. You know, get your big butt off my lap, get your big butt, you know, whatever. And then you have these women who are like, oh no, come sit on my lap. I'm 42 years old. I promise you, when I see Robin in a few weeks, I am going to be on her lap. And the first time, I think Debbie had me sit on her lap first. It wasn't even weird. And then another time, like I remember one time I saw Robin, and she was like, I was like, I have to sit on your lap as I prophesy over you, because I was prophesying. It was a church event or church-ish event. And I was like, I got a word for you, and let me sit on your lap. And I sat on her lap, and I prayed over her and told her what I wanted to tell her. And she said, I so needed you on my lap today. And I was just like, really? Like, I thought, you know, like I thought I was being too much, but I was willing to take that risk that time. And then I'll wrap this up. There was one other instance that really like touched my heart with Robin, where I was doing there was a 9-month time span where I had 5 consecutive miscarriages. My last miscarriage was April 15th. That would have been, I had the baby in 2017, so that would have been 2016. And I had to I was doing a prophetic retreat. I did worship, and I took Gary and them, when they learned that I was having another miscarriage, they were like, you know, you don't have to do this, you know, you can just chill, go home, whatever. And I was like, no, please don't sit me down. I need to do this. I need to still minister. I need to do this. And so they were like, okay. So I stood and I worshiped. And as I worshiped, I felt that little baby coming out of me. And I went home. I didn't even go to the bathroom because I was like, nope, not here. And I just went home with a baby in my pants and took care of everything when I got home. But it felt good to just worship God in spite of what was going on. And that was like a turning point for me. The next day, I was up leading worship, and I did workshops, and, where I like facilitated the workshops. And during worship, there was a lull, I guess, where I just wasn't singing. I was still standing there, but I wasn't singing. Robin came up, and there was some chairs off to the side, and she said, "This might sound kind of crazy, but I feel like God wants me to have you sit in my lap." And so I was like, "Sit down," because there were some chairs over to the side. So I went and I sat in her lap, and I don't even know if she said anything, but I remember hearing myself wail. Like, I've only heard myself do that wail one time before, and that was when my father died. I just like sat there and wailed. And later people was telling me how it really like touched them. Like they, some did cry, but others was like, "Oh my God," like, to hear that, and it just meant everything. And for me, like, I look at my children, my girls are all taller than me, but my lap is forever like available to them, So I feel sad for my mother with missing out on that kind of thing too. But I'll just go ahead and end there, because this video is way longer than I wanted it to be. But I hope you don't mind. I don't think you do. So that's my Janae right there. So yeah, these last videos have been kind of tearful, but it's okay. It's good, because it's good to cry. It's like a release, But I'll end it here, and just thank you for hanging in there with me. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe. I try to remember to say that. I'm doing good though, but yeah. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to continue on this journey with me, because otherwise you won't know if I post another video unless you talk to me personally. Well, you're gonna keep coming back and just checking. But so I thank you, and I'll be back soon. Bye.